Hello. That was a bit awkward, wasn't it? Hi. I'm really excited because we have reached the end of 6 Steps to Free Media Publicity, and I've really enjoyed presenting it to you. It's been done in sort of different ways, you know, in each module, as you've probably seen. For example, this one is being done on location. Some of the others were done with that black background, which you might have liked, I hope. It was well lit by my very good friend and my cameraman Doosan, who is behind the camera at the moment. Others were done with just slides. I think it's important you understand that as long as it's done reasonably professionally, it's the content that's important, and I hope and I trust that you have got so much out of the content. And the reason that I would be confident about that is because every bit of content that I have conveyed to you is content that I haven't learnt out of a book or been told. I've experienced it as a result of 40 years in the media. So I just want to briefly go back. So at the very start, we learnt about how the media works. I feel as though I'm doing a presentation here. How the media works, what the media wants, how the media gets what it wants. How you can utilise the media to your advantage. And that's fundamentally, that was fundamentally the key plank to the first 5 modules. You then learnt what makes news. And for you to promote yourself through the media, whether it be your business or your brand or your products or yourself, you need to understand what makes news. And we did a good job, I feel, at going through that together. You then learn how to identify story ideas within your business. And that is so important, and so many people don't understand that. They're sitting on great stories within their business, and they just don't understand that. I mean, they wouldn't have any idea, and they wouldn't know how to promote those stories to the media, but they don't understand they're sitting on really good stories. So that module was particularly important. They're all important, but that was particularly important. And again, I make the point, it doesn't matter what type of business we're talking about here. You can be a florist, a chiropractor, financial advisor, superannuation advisor, veterinarian, dentist, doctor, entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. You will have a story within your business. You just need to identify it. So we did that. We then learned how to promote that story to the media through a media release. And we spent a lot of time on that. And you'll get better at writing those media releases. They'll become second nature to you. And part of that module was also about preparing you for the fact that you will send a media release out on occasions and you won't get coverage. You just need to understand that that is part of it. And in fact, I sent one out just recently. I'm doing some work for a lady who's just launched a book on mental health, and I got some great coverage in a local paper, but a radio station, the producer rang me back and said, look, Mark, it's not for us. That's okay, I understand that. That's okay. That's the way it is, but you don't give up. So that was important. We then learnt how to handle and nail our media interview for when the media comes knocking and says, yes, we love that story, we'd like to interview you, whether it be TV, radio, print, or podcasts. So we learnt about that. Module 5 was really important because it's so important that you develop relationships with the media, with reporters. And you sort of start to do that as you send your media release out and get opportunities to talk to reporters as you're being interviewed, but you can take that a step further and really develop those relationships. And that means, as we spoke about, that means that in the end, the reporters start coming to you. Hey, Mark, we'd love to do a story on mental health. Is there anything we can talk to you about? Rather than the other way around, where I'm sending a media release out saying, this is my story, do you want to do a story on it? So that's where it gets really exciting. And then we finished up here. We finished up here on this stage, and I've been here many a time. This is one of the smaller rooms here at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. It's set up for around 100 people or so. But we ended up here in Module 6. And as I said at the start of this module, this is the piece de resistance. This is where it's all heading. If you want it to head this way, this is where it's all heading. So you know all that stuff. You're starting to get a profile in the media, and you want to continue to build that profile or skyrocket it, as we say. This is where you do it. In front of 100 people, which I've done many a time, in front of 500 people, which I've done many a time, in front of 2,000 or 3,000 people at the Adelaide Convention Centre, or a facility over in Melbourne during the grand final when I was working for Network 10. I've done that as well. But more importantly, you can do that as well. You can be that person. You can be the person standing here saying, hello everyone, my name is so-and-so, I'm a financial advisor, welcome along to this particular forum here in Adelaide, here in Melbourne, here in Kuala Lumpur, wherever it might be, here in Asia, it doesn't matter. Here in the US, it doesn't matter. I would like to talk about this. How good's that? How good's that for your credibility? How good's that for your authority? How good's that in terms of promoting your business? How good is that in terms of generating more business and not doing it obviously? You're not standing up there promoting yourself obviously, you're doing it organically, which is so important. So I'm pleased that we've made it. I really am. It's been a lot of work for me to put this together, and I thank Doosan, my cameraman, who has done a great job. It's been a lot of hours, and I hope and trust that you have got a lot out of this. There are 2 extra modules which I've added. One is with a dear friend of mine, Grant Heading, who was my news director at Channel 10, and that should be available now for you to access. And Grant talks about the morning meeting, which you might remember from one of the earlier modules, which is the meeting that occurs in the newsroom in the morning or sometimes in the afternoon, which is the meeting where you've got to get your media release into. So Grant talks about that meeting in detail with some really good information about tips and techniques on how you can get your media release into that meeting. So he talks about that. And I also talked to a former reporter here in Adelaide who's had 40 years experience as a reporter, as a political reporter and as a general reporter, and also as someone who's worked for a PR company. So he's seen both sides. His name's Richard Lower, and we talk about how to prepare. And he gives a slightly different perspective, which is good, how to prepare for your interview and what he expects as a reporter when he is interviewing you as the talent. And so you'll get a slightly different perspective. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you on our monthly Zoom hookups, our monthly calls, which hopefully will help you and enlighten you. And if there's any questions, then you can certainly ask me on those calls. I wish you all the very best in your quest to gain publicity through the media for free and to elevate your profile and your authority, and to eventually, who knows, stand on the stage, a stage like this, or stand behind a lectern like this and say, hello everyone, my name's Mark Aston. I'd like to talk about addiction and mental health. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for joining me.